Thompson, number 46, blitzing, and O'Brien's right hand, the exact one that's been bothering him, the thumb, hits right on top of Thompson's helmet, and there you see Kenny on the sideline there. And, you know, it's so you never could hit the other hand. You always got to hit the hand that's hurting you. And now you see Browning Nagel trying to get ready, so you know, we may see him before too long because Kenny O'Brien might not be able to throw the ball.
Kansas City taking over at their 30-yard line. They lead 3-0. Minute 45 remaining in this first quarter. Barry Word, the ball carrier, stopped by Paul Fraze and Ryan Washington. So a 3-yard gain. It'll be a 2nd down and 7. Kansas City Chiefs with a record of 7-4. They've won 3 in a row. Wins over San Diego, Washington, and Seattle. They had lost their previous 2 to Dallas and Pittsburgh, causing some concern for Marty Schottenheimer. Kansas City and Denver tied for the lead in the AFC West. Denver plays at Seattle tomorrow night. San Diego also very much in it, and they are home for the Raiders tonight. All right, a draw play for Word, and he was stopped by Mo Lewis. Just under 1 minute to go in this opening quarter. A reminder, next Sunday, I look at that NBC Sports.
Francisco ought to be a good one.
Time running down in this first quarter. Craig in his drop. Craig unleashing to Willie Davis, and it hit him in the chest. So the punt unit comes on for the Chiefs, led by Brian Barker.
Well, that was a blitz situation there, and the Kansas City receivers were forced to make what we call a side adjustment. They made it, and McMillan was right there, and Craig read the blitz, hit the wide receiver with the ball right in the hands, but he wasn't able to catch it. Good call by Pete Carroll, forcing the side adjustment by the Kansas City, and then making the play.
Carpenter calls for the fair catch. Penalty flag is thrown, and the Jets are arguing the call. What a punt, though, by Barker, who has come on strong in recent weeks. That was a 52-yard punt. Now, initially, the Jets argued with the referee, Bob McElwee. Let's see what this call concerns.
Holding on the left corner, man. 10 yards,
well,
repeat 4th down.
It's against Kansas City.
You see the pass rush, the left tackle there. Looks like the man that's being called, and looks like he's grabbing on Eric McMillan, number 22, and that's the penalty.
That was number 30, Martin Bayless, involved with McMillan. So Barker drops back to his 7-yard line. Ryan Barker in his 3rd season from Santa Clara faced the big rush. Again, a flag tossed. Here's Carpenter on the return.
Well, this time it's going to be rough on the kicker.
Running into the kicker. That is not an automatic 1st down.
Running into the kicker has been called on Eric McMillan, who earlier this first quarter was hit with unnecessary roughness.
But that'll just be a 5-yard penalty, and it doesn't carry a 1st down with it, so.
A little workout here for the punter, Brian Barker.
That penalty is declined. 1st down, timeout.
The Jets trying to rush the punter, and up the middle, and it's McMillan late. Cadrez almost got it, number 50. Should have had that blocked punt there.
Timeout is called. We'll be back in a moment. Bob McElwee made a correction. May have heard him in the background say 1st down on that last penalty, but he corrected himself. It is a 4th down off that running into the kicker penalty, and the punter, Brian Barker, will try for a 3rd time with 9 seconds remaining in the first quarter.
And that's a good decision by Kansas City because it gives them another opportunity to reduce the field position of the Jets. So they would naturally have accepted that 5-yard penalty in an effort to punt the ball a little bit deeper into Jet territory.
Marty Schottenheimer telling us that Brian Barker several weeks ago was one bad performance away from departure, but he's come back strong the last 3 weeks.
Well, I had kickers that were always in that situation. Not the punters, though. I was very fortunate to have 2 great punters. Dave Jennings, who's doing the game for the Jets, to my right, and Sean Landeta. But those kickers were always 1 week away.
Here's Carpenter with the return. Rob Carpenter reaching to the 35-yard line, and Barker gets a 50-yarder away this time, and a 13-yard return as Carpenter was stopped by Keith Cash. That's the end of the first quarter. Chiefs lead 3-0. Browning Nagel has come on for Ken O'Brien, who apparently re-injured his thumb on that last series. Now, how does Nagel react to coming in this situation?
Well, Nagel hasn't had as much preparation as he's probably had the past 7 or 8 weeks, but when you're a backup quarterback, which he was this week, you have to be ready, and I'm sure they'll be a little conservative with Browning to start with to enable him to kind of get a feel for the game.
And goes to the ground to Baxter, stopped by Bayless, and Bruce Coslett as part of his, as he put it, 3-guard rotation. And we're not talking basketball, Bill, as we are well aware. Wayne White now departs. Roger Duffy, who started at left guard, moves to the right side, and Dave Cadigan, who was benched, is now in there at the left guard. It's a 2nd down and 3 at the 42. Once again, the Jets do not score in the first quarter. Here's Baxter, and has a first down. Ruffin and Simeon made the stop. Set for another update. Let's go to Bob Costas.
All right, marvelous. Let's look in on the Superdome in New Orleans. Dolphins and Saints, both 8-3 coming in. Bobby Hebert, a beautifully thrown ball to Quinn Early, outstretched for the 32-yard gain in between a pair of defenders down to the 1. Dalton Hilliard takes it in from there. And the Saints now early in the second quarter leading 7-zip.
All right, Bob, just to finish up on that point, the Jets have not scored a touchdown in the first quarter all season. They've batted 7 field goals. A year ago, the first quarter was the Jets' best. Not the case this season. Nagel pumps it up. Moore goes down, got entangled with the corner, Kevin Ross. No flags are thrown.
Well, Rob Moore is going up against one of the very best corners in the AFC and has been for a number of years, Kevin Ross, who's, been a Pro Bowl player for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think Chiefs, there's Ross at the bottom of the screen just running stride for stride with Moore, but I think the Kansas City Chiefs, with Kevin Ross, Albert Lewis, who's on injured reserve, and now the addition of Dale Carter, may be the strongest team at cornerback in the NFL because they've got 3 guys that can really play that position well.
And Pro Bowler Albert Lewis with a broken left forearm. It is expected that he will make his return. It's a 2nd down and 10. Nagel firing one. It's caught by Mathis, but short of the first down. Carter on the coverage. Browning Nagel last week against New England went through his worst performance of what has been a disappointing season. 9 for 24, 77 yards, intercepted twice, no touchdowns, and then forced out in the fourth quarter after bruising his left shoulder.
Well, it's been a series of weeks where Browning hasn't, performed up to the capability, and Bruce Coslett said the job had overwhelmed him a little bit, and that's why he had made the change today. But, as fate has it in football, you have to stay ready. You don't know when your next opportunity is coming. Now, speaking of opportunity, this Roger Duffy, number 62 at right guard, and Siopeli Malamala, number 70, the left tackle, are getting their opportunities today because if Malamala can go in and play that left tackle position, there's a good chance that Jeff Criswell will not get back in the lineup.
Brad Baxter collecting the first down. First down at the Kansas City 40. 2.5 gone by. Second quarter. The Chiefs with a 3-0 lead on a 20-yard field goal by Nick Lowery. Baxter. Good second effort. Reaching to the 36. Stopped by Dan Saliamua. So Brad Baxter has become a guy who at first was known strictly for his blocking, but he is this season the featured back for the Jets.
Well, Brad Baxter is, I think, one of the underrated and least known guys in the National Football League, but this guy can run, he can block, and he can catch, and he can do all things well. And what you're seeing here is kind of mirror game plans. The Jets and the Chiefs are running almost the same game plan.
Second down and 5. It's deflected, jump ball, and it's slapped down. It will be a third down and 5 at the 35.
Well, Nagel, this three-step drop, tries to go to the second receiver, and number 75, Joe Phillips, is right in the throwing lane, gets his right hand up, and then it's one of those jump balls you're used to seeing over there at Madison Square Garden, Mark.
Joe Phillips has played well. Marty Schottenheimer telling us you can't bounce him around. 7th year out of Southern Methodist University. Spent a year with Minnesota, 5 with San Diego. Third down and 5. At the Chiefs 35. It is an end around Carpenter, and he stopped, tripped up by J.C. Pearson.
Well, Rob Carpenter is a guy that, in light of Al Toon's retirement, that Bruce Coslett has got to find out about here as the season winds down. They have good feelings about Carpenter. He's shown the ability to make some plays, but they need to definitely find out if this is a guy that can kind of fill in and be a starting wide receiver. Now, Bruce Coslett is going for it here on 4th down, and, Marty Schottenheimer did that early in his first scoring drive.
It's a 4th and 2. The ball at the Kansas City 32. Nagel throwing, and it looked like Neil Smith got a piece of it. The pass intended for Terrence Mathis, so the Chiefs will take over on down.
Well, the people that were yelling for Bruce Coslett to go for it and cheering when he decided to, now they're booing because the play didn't work. The ball was tipped. They had Reggie Mathis open there, but they weren't able to get it to him.
You could select the type of pie or turkey that you would like. Second down and 10. Here's Ward. Reaches out to the 40-yard line, tripped up by Paul Fraze.
And then, the funny thing about those turkey stories is everyone knew which rookies went down there to try to get the free turkey, and when they'd come into the team meeting room the next day, then all the veterans would be sitting there, going gobble, 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 and that'd go on for about a half hour. They'd be gobbling all day long.
All that locker room humor.
Yeah.
Real knee slappers,
Yeah.
It's a third down and 3 from the 40-yard line. 5 minutes have gone by in the second quarter. Marv Albert with Bill Parcells from Giant Stadium. The Chiefs with a 3-0 lead on the Jets by virtue of a 20-yard field goal by Nick Lowry. And Craig running out of the pocket. Picks up the first down and more. Sliding inside the Jet 40-yard line. So Dave Craig ran for 20.
Well, the Jets using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down linemen in an effort to put pressure on Dave Craig, along with a blitzing linebacker. And there's no way a quarterback should be able to scramble against a pass rush involving 6 guys. But Craig managed to get out and make very, very good yards. Of course, there's no one left in the secondary when you blitz that many to make the tackle.
He was ruled out of the 43. That's his longest run of the season. First down at the Jet 43-yard line. Craig with the short set, able to elude the pressure and goes to Barry Word. Did not have anyone downfield and saw Word to his right. Word stopped by Dennis Byrd.
Well, the Jets missed a good opportunity there to sack Craig because he had no one open, didn't know where to go with the ball. You see him looking to his left side. Nobody's there. He pulls it down. Dennis Byrd just runs right by him. And after he does, he's able to find Barry Word, you know, for a short gain. But, you know, those are defensive opportunities that you have to cause a fumble and create extra long yardage in the scoring zone and perhaps keep the team from getting points on the board against you.
Only the 8th catch of the season for Word. Sets up a 2nd down and 1 at the 34. Word with the first down. Well, Pete Carroll, the Jets defensive coordinator, was telling us after practice on Friday he feels, looking at it candidly, the Jets are short of an impact player in their front four. Of course, a lot of clubs can say that, but don't say it. He said right now we're just a bunch of guys. We need someone to change the game. And, well, he mentions names such as Chris Dolman and Reggie White, but he faces up to the fact they need that impact player.
Well, I think they need an inside guy that can take the pressure off Lageman when he comes back, and Byrd as the pass rushers, and I think that that's what they need. I think it's accurate in that appraisal, and until they get that, they're not going to have the opportunity.
Nice rollout with Craig combining with Kimball Anders. It was Anders who dropped that potential touchdown pass in that early drive in the first quarter. This goes for 13 yards.
You know, Pete Carroll was also saying about the linebackers they'd like to maybe upgrade a spot or two. They see Craig hitting Anders and Lonnie Young coming over and knocking them out of bounds. But, you know, their defense is a pretty solid defense. But if they had one or two more big play type guys, it could turn it into a very strong defense.
And they have missed Jeff Lageman. That's a major loss in terms of leadership, along with the obvious skills. First down of the Jet. 17. Here's Word. So short pickup. Mo Lewis, the outside linebacker, made the stop. Mo Lewis had a 16 tackle game against New England last week, and the awful effort by the Jets, a lackluster performance. Even Lewis said he wasn't satisfied. So what? It's a number. But he pointed out, as did many of the Jet players, to the sloppy tackling last week in Foxborough.
Well, you know, there's always reasons, but Mo Lewis is a guy that, you know, if you could put 2 or 3 more Mo Lewises in that linebacker position, or guys like Mo Lewis, then you got a real strong linebacker court. You know, he's one player the Jets know they can count on for a period of time.
Ward finding the hole and smashes his way to the 11th. Strong safety Brian Washington made the tackle.
Well, Barry Word, you know, this is another example. The fullback leading behind that tackle, leading Word through. You know, Word gets his pads down, punishes those defensive backs. And Kansas City is the type of offense that can physically just beat you down during the course of the day and just pound, 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 and eventually get enough points to beat you.
And you can see how the rush defense of the Jets has worsened from a year ago. They're currently number 24 in the NFL. 3rd down and 4, and it's back to the ground for Todd McNair. Rare carry by McNair. Kyle Clifton made the stop that is short of a first down.
Well, the Jets really have to feel pretty good, even though Kansas City has methodically moved the ball down the field on them twice. They haven't given up that touchdown as of yet. If you can hold them to 2 field goals here, even though Kansas City's running the ball pretty well, you got to think you're in pretty good shape.
Nick Lowry will attempt a 27-yard field goal. The punter, Brian Barker, will put it down. Nick Lowry was a rookie free agent with the Jets back in '78, beaten out by a fellow by the name of Pat Leahy. Lowry able to drill it through. His 2nd field goal of the day. It's a 27-yarder. Chiefs 6, Jets nothing. Seems he was credited with an assisted tackle on Reuben May's return last week in the game against Seattle. The kickoff by Lowry, handled by Terrence Mathis. His blockers. Mathis getting across the 25-yard line. Lowry said somehow not having a face mask doesn't make you too anxious to stick your head in there. And he said he's glad he didn't break his nose last week.
Well, he probably ran into him by accident. And anyway, I don't know what he needs a face mask for. They just run to the sidelines.
Yes. University of Washington, third-round draft pick Siopeli Malamala making his first NFL start. He is at left tackle. Dave Cadigan is back in now after being benched at left guard. And Roger Duffy on the right side replacing Dwayne White. And Baxter. A hard run by Baxter reaching to the marker. Hauled down by the strong safety Martin Bayless.
Well, Malamala, you know, the left tackle is really, this is his first real opportunity. He was hurt in the preseason and really didn't get the opportunity. He had separated his shoulder. They knew he was a good prospect, but he's just now rounding into shape, and he's a guy that they had hoped that, you know, could play some, and now he's getting his chance. And at 300 pounds and a little toughness, you know, he may be, if he does well, a fixture for the Jets for quite a while.
Nagel off the roll. Caught by Mark Boyer. Covered by Tracy Simeon. And it's a 19-yard advance.
Well, that's that bootleg pass. A nice fake by Nagel. Rolling out. Boyer coming across. You see the Kansas City linebackers chasing him there. Tracy Simeon making the tackle. Mincy closing on him. But you know, that's probably the most popular play-action pass in the NFL these days, that bootleg with the tight end coming across.
And a first down for the Jets at the Kansas City 42. We come up on 3 minutes remaining in the first half. Baxter to the 38-yard line, picked up 4. Leonard Griffin, the right defensive end, who's back in there, did not play last week because of a shoulder injury.
There's Malamala, the left tackle, running into Griffin and then going after Chris Martin and staying on him and doing a pretty good job. You know, he had to switch off his assignment there, but, you know, this guy's motor is running full speed today. I could tell talking to him the other day. He was very, very nervous about having to start this game, but looking forward to doing so.
2nd and 7. Baxter with just a couple of yards. Again, it's Simeon making the stop. Browning Nagel took over for Ken O'Brien, who started the game. O'Brien re-injuring the chip fracture of the right thumb and forced to the sideline. So Nagel has come out. He's 2 of 5 for 28 yards. And there is the 2-minute warning. We'll be back right after these words. In this first half at Giant Stadium in the New Jersey Meadowlands, the Kansas City Chiefs with a 6-0 lead on the New York Jets. Browning Nagel, the last 4 games, has thrown only 1 touchdown. He has been intercepted 6 times. He has had a very difficult second season in the NFL. First season as a starter. It's a third down and 5, and a penalty marker is down. You know, Bill, we did that opening Jets game in Atlanta.
Ball start, number 75, offense, before the snap.
The former Chief Earl Eaton was called on that penalty, and the Jet offensive line picking up his first penalty of the day. You recall the opening snap that was mishandled between Nagel and Sweeney, and it cost the Jets. Atlanta did take over. It was a fumble recovered, and Atlanta went in and picked up some points on that. And a lot of Jet players, not that you can single out one particular play, but a lot of guys point to that. Although Nagel did come back, it was a situation where it was too little too late. Looked like someone jumped, and a flag is thrown as Sully Amua gets to the quarterback, Browning Nagel.
Well, going back to that Atlanta play, Kansas City offside there, so now it'll be back to 3rd and 3. You know, that seems to be kind of a portrait of the way the Jets season has gone. You know,
offside, number 97, Defense, 5 yards, 3rd down.
You know, the wrong thing at the wrong time, and that's basically what's happened. And that's why some of these linemen aren't playing, because they've committed these penalties that have taken away a lot of big plays from the Jet offense and you know, prohibited them from scoring, and that's why you're seeing these changes. Now, on this pass protection here, this is a situation that Malamala is most vulnerable in, and at least in the previous formation on that Kansas City offside, they were going to use a tight end to help him out on Derek Thomas. So we'll watch with interest to see if that's the way they're trying to help Malamala out today.
Reset the clock to 1:55.
I'll try to a sarcastic reaction from the crowd as they apparently the scoreboard clock showed 15 minutes and 55 seconds remaining, which would be very depressing the way the action of this first half has gone. It has not been a thriller. A 6-0 Kansas City lead. 3rd down and 5 at the 37. And Nagel picks up the first down, completing with Moore. Dale Carter on the coverage, and that's good for 12 yards.
Well, you see that bunch pattern, 3 receivers releasing at the same time, spreading out. The ball was tipped, but Rob Moore was able to come up with a first reception. Now you see the tight end, the back, and Malamala all after Derek Thomas, so they're putting 3 guys on.
Baxter. And looked like he fumbled. The Chiefs have recovered. Once again, the Kansas City defense coming up with the key play. Brad Baxter, who has had fumble problems in the past, coughed it up, and it was recovered by Tom Sims. There he is, number 95, in his 3rd NFL season out of Pittsburgh.
This is a perfect example of why the Jets have the record that they have. The wrong thing at the absolute wrong time, and it's plagued them throughout the season.
Good. Now,
18-yard pickup. Hargain, a first-year player from Oregon, coming from the 49ers on Plan B, making his first catch of the afternoon. Chiefs with a 6-0 lead on the New York Jets. Kansas City using a timeout, so they have 2 remaining with 1:02 to go in this first half. Kansas City looking to capitalize on that fumble recovery, and look at that stat. The Chiefs lead the NFL with a +20 in the takeaway giveaway department. And they're 3rd in takeaways now with 30 for the season. Here is Craig. It is Mario Johnson, rookie from Missouri, 10th round draft pick, picking up his 2nd sack of the season for the Jets, their first of the day.
Well, that's the kind of pressure the Jets have been looking for, that up inside pressure, and Mario Johnson, number 78, just gave it to him, and that's what they've been missing. They've been getting a little pressure on the corner, but they haven't had anything up the middle, and there you see him, 78, beating the Kansas City center, Tim Grunhard, for the sack.
Well, coming up, it'll be the Domino's Pizza NFL Live halftime report. That's just ahead with Bob Costas, O.J. Simpson, Dan Hampton. Well, that's AFC West with Denver. Chiefs have won 3 in a row. Victories over San Diego, Washington, and Seattle. 2nd and 17. Craig could not find anyone, and down he goes at the 34. And that will be a coverage sack credited to the combination of Marvin Washington and Kurt Barber.
Well, the Jets are really starting to get good pressure, but there's a mental error by the Kansas City offensive line, because they just turned Washington loose, and I believe the mistake on the part of the Kansas City offense was made by number 79, Dave Zott there, who just didn't pick up Washington.
Kansas City with 1 timeout remaining. Looks like they're letting the clock run out with a 6-0 lead, down to 20 seconds remaining in the half. McNair trying to go wide, but strung out by Hasty. time is running out in this first half. Words exchanged between Jets and Chiefs on the far sideline, but the officials able to separate the players. So 2 field goals by Nick Lowry. And wait a moment. Perhaps there is
2
time
seconds
remaining. Yes,
to go.
2 seconds.
There's 2 seconds.
2 seconds put back on the clock.
Well, what they ruled that his forward progress had stopped, and apparently someone on the Jets had called a timeout, because that's the only way that clock would have stopped, and the Jets were trying to force Kansas City to punt. You see McNair on the draw play, and he's running laterally, and then Hasty stops his progress, and they force him out of bounds right there. And apparently one of the Jets called timeout, trying to make Kansas City punt in an effort to block it and, you know, maybe come up with some points.
The ball is placed at the Kansas City 31-yard line. 2 seconds remaining in the half.
Of course, you know, Kansas City doesn't have to punt the ball here on 4th down. They just could go out there and have Dave Craig step back and drop on his knee, and the 2 seconds would expire. So, you know, had there been 5 or 6 seconds left, they couldn't afford to do that, because the Jets would have taken over and had a chance for the field goal. With just 2 seconds, you can run the clock out.
And now Kansas City calling for a timeout. We've been talking about the problems of the Jets for a good portion of this first half. Well, the Chiefs offense has struggled the better part of the last 5 games, but they have faced 4 of the NFL's top 6 defenses over that stretch.
I think over the period of the last 3 years, though, Marv, the Chiefs offense, generally speaking, has been pretty well standard in the ability to run the ball, and their ups and downs go with the quarterback performance directly. If their quarterback gives them a very good day, then they seem to play well and are capable of beating anyone. And this goes back to when DeBerg was playing the quarterback. If the quarterback doesn't give them a good day, that's when they run into trouble and wind up getting upset. But physically, they're capable of competing with anyone, and a good performance by the quarterback makes them a contender for the AFC.
All right, Craig will just, well, I thought he'd just fall on it, but he stepped back and he's hauled down by Bobby Houston, and now time runs out in this first half. Craig 7 for 10, 87 yards, but not much accomplished offensively. Chiefs lead 6-0. You can see the melee at the middle of the field. Again, tempers flaring, but it looks like both clubs will make their way to the locker room. So right now, let's go to Bob Costas in New York for the Domino's Pizza NFL Live halftime report.